to welcome Mr. Rajesh Pandey. Okay, he is an award-winning photographer. Okay, he will be sharing us some kind of insights of his converting his passion as a new profession. Okay, let's welcome Mr. Rajesh Pandey. Welcome you, sir.
Thanks, Vinay. Lovely introduction. And thank you for each one of you to come down over here today, braving the traffic on a Thursday afternoon. Kudos to you. Before I just take you through my journey in photography, I just wanted to understand a little bit about you guys over here. How many of you are entrepreneurs, full-time entrepreneurs? All right. So I believe the others are still making the decision to get into entrepreneurship. Okay, excellent. I think this session is going to be very useful, where I will be taking you through this journey that I started some 10 years back. And I just jumped into it not knowing what it's all about. And it's been fascinating. It's been a huge learning curve, professionally, personally. So just taking you through my childhood first, so that you can connect with me as a person. I grew up in a very small town in the eastern part of the country. It's a town called Kharagpur. It's about 100 kilometers from Calcutta. And I grew up in this place called IIT, if you've heard of the Indian Institute of Technology. My father was a professor over there. And I grew up dreaming, like all the other kids in the town, of wanting to become an engineer. And I became one. After that, I also became a management. I did my master's in management because I couldn't get a job. So that's my journey to higher education, to the master's level, so called. And then that opened, a door into my corporate career, which I was fascinated about as a kid. I want to, wear the tie and the suit and get into the corporate world and give presentations and kind of be that person who's going places, so called. And I did get a wonderful opportunity to work with some of the best companies like ITC, like ICI Paints, and it was fantastic for some time. But then it kind of became monotonous. It was very repetitive. I was continuously chasing numbers. I was doing 9 to 5s, and I wasn't very happy. I didn't know where I was headed. And after about 8 years, it came to a point where I was questioning my existence. What am I, what the hell am I doing in this, in this place, in this city? And by that time in 8 years, I changed 6 jobs. And I was kind of, making a corporate harakiri where people would be, kind of worried of touching this person, knowing fully well, looking at his history, that okay, he's here for another couple of months, a year max, and then this guy is gonna go. This guy is he's a nice butterfly. He's gonna come, he's gonna be around, and then he's gonna fly. But it was so. That's what was the internal struggle which was going around, and I was looking out for answers, and that's when I attended a workshop in wedding photography, and I said, "This is it." That was love at first sight. I mean, thank you. So it was someone beautifully said was you are born twice. One, your actual birth, and the second time when you kind of discover why you were born. for me it was a revelation. It was, I was fascinated with wedding photography for 4 reasons. Number one, it was fun. Number two, it gave me the freedom to do what I wanted, how I wanted, the way I wanted to take it in terms of growing the business. Number three, it was creative. You're coming from the corporate world, I'm not too sure how many people are working over here, so you can kind of relate to me when I say that part was numb inside me. And so wedding photography gave me that outlet in order to explore creativity for the first time in my life. And it was like a kid, with a toy. That toy was my camera. Every time I took a picture, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I was getting fascinated, and others were like, oh my God, do you really think this is anything? They said that this person doesn't understand photography. Stay away from negative vibes. So, so with these four things in place, it was like a no-brainer. I said, I can do this. And during the same time, they say the universe conspires. For me, the universe was conspiring in a different kind of a way, because one fine day, the CEO of the company that I used to work with, I used to directly report to the CEO, and she said, Rajesh, the vertical that we chose you for, unfortunately, we are winding it down. That vertical does not exist. And I was like, really? Are you serious? And she said, yes, you got to take a decision. Basically, you're fired. And so that came in like a shocker for me, because this was the first time, in my corporate career, and I was getting fired, and it was happening at a time which was pretty challenging for me. My wife and I, we were going to have our child, and we had taken a humongous home loan. That's how most of the kids were kind of just into their jobs. The first thing that they think that is cool is to take an amazing loan and to get into an apartment, and you design it, and you fulfill all your aspirations in that one apartment, and it sets you back by at least 20 years. So for me, it was it was a huge thing, because the timing of this conversation with my CEO happened exactly at the time when all these things were happening together. In June, I was given this information, and in August, my daughter was born. So I had a choice at that point of time. It was a difficult choice. I could either choose to take my resume and start hunting for a job again, or I could get into this unknown, absolutely uncharted territory in my life, which was calling me, come, leave everything, just come over here. And I said, as much as I love and I want to get into wedding photography full time, it's gonna be a big ask convincing my wife. And I said, how do I go about this? I didn't have the guts. It was too big a discussion to have with nothing in assurance in return. And so I kind of kept it under the wraps. I knew that my wife would get into a maternity leave. She wanted to go back home with her parents. And so I knew that I had this little window of maybe 5-6 months. And I checked my bank balance. I said, okay, I can kind of pull through these 5-6 months by just paying the EMIs. That was the only saving that I had, by the way. So she kind of went for 6 months, and 6 months just went by. And I was struggling a little bit more and more, and I was searching for that one elusive assignment that would pay. In 6 months, I did not find a single person to say, Rajesh, your photography is good. Fuck it, great. Your photography is good. Let me give you this money. I was waiting for that beautiful day to come where I could, shout on the top of my voice, on the top of my apartment. I've made it. Someone is ready to, pay for my photography. But that didn't happen, unfortunately. So in 6 months, I, from putting a price point, saying that, check, from putting a price point to doing it for free. I said, if nobody wants to pay for my photography, they can at least see, firsthand about my great photography skills, and perhaps later on decide maybe the second assignment they can kind of pay. So I even offered free photography to people during that time. And if anybody of you who's into in creative arts, entrepreneurship, you know how the market is. Everybody loves a free lunch, a free product. They'll invite you, they'll give you, the opportunity. But the moment you come down to pricing, it's like, you've hit the wrong chord. So anyway, after 6 months with nothing to show, my tail was between my legs. All the pride had evaporated. I was, from a very passionate photographer, someone who's going to be the best in the country, perhaps. I was here questioning myself, questioning my decision, and extremely sad at how those 6 months had transpired. So, with my pride between my legs, I went back to the job market, trying to get a job. And fair enough, I had the backup of 8 years of corporate experience, and I could say some cock and bull story about those 6 months and how they transpired, and get a job basically. But one thing that I learned during this time, and it's going to be for all of you over here, passion is good. Passion is good, but passion is only important while you're starting off. It's that initial velocity that takes you off the ground. But in order to reach the moon, there's a lot more that is required, and it's certainly not passion. So I started working, and for the next about 8 months, I said, this thing has to work. I mean, there's no way that I'm going to give up, because all my years of existence, this is the time that I have really felt fulfilled. I don't care if no one believed in me. I don't care if I did not make a single penny out of it. But I know that feeling is genuine. It's honest. It's that feeling which is you can't describe it. And so I fell for it, and for the next 8 to 10 months, with whatever free shoots I had done back then, in 6 months' time, I put together a social media presence, a website on Facebook, and I started, putting a website together. Hired a designer. I got a guy to work on the digital marketing, and fair enough, in about 8 or 10 months' time it took me, I started slowly getting people who would pay for my photography. And I can't tell you the first assignment that I got. It was like a kid who thought he failed the exam, but suddenly the teacher comes and tells, "Oh no, you kind of you didn't fail, you just passed, and we are going to promote you to the next standard." And this was this kid in me, and I had passed in my own eyes that there were people who were ready to pay, and I could kind of make a career out of this. So in about 8 or 10 months time, my pipeline, my photography, wedding photography pipeline, it started filling in. And it started filling in pretty rapidly. So all the time that I got out of work, weekends, beyond my my office hours, I was continuously working on my photography business. And after 10 months, I gathered the courage to go back and have a discussion with my wife, saying that now the money is also coming in. It's becoming increasingly difficult to do both the things together. So might as well give this a complete heart and soul kind of an attempt and do it properly. And 2011 is when I finally quit from my corporate career. I said goodbye, and I, for the next 4 years, it's been an amazing journey. I've shot weddings in palaces in Udaipur. I've shot beach weddings in Goa. I've shot beach weddings in Kerala. I've shot international destination weddings in Thailand. I've shot weddings in Nepal. And I mean, name a wedding category, a wedding type, and I've done it. So it was amazing, experience where I grew professionally, I grew personally, and then there came a time once again when I, kind of said, okay, I've got this under my belt. Now I've kind of become a name that people can associate with. I have a style that people can recognize. I have people who are reaching out to me, and things are so good. I also had a team back then, and I said, fantastic. Now it's time for me to get into something else. And I said, why not make some quick money out of a different business, because I've kind of got the fundamentals in place, and let's also dabble with some more business ideas. And for the next 2 years, I started 3 businesses, and all 3 businesses failed, one after another. And then I said, this is quite strange. On one hand, I've got the experience, I've been able to establish my brand as a wedding photographer and a wedding photography company, and on the other hand, I'm struggling over here to create something which should be a piece of cake. And I realized that it's, as much as we discount passion, persistence is important, but passion, while you're starting off, is all that you have. And I did not have any passion for these 3 new businesses that I started. I was ready to throw in the towel at the first opportunity when something did not fall in line. My business partner left. I said, this business is not going to work. We could not raise funds. I said, this business is not worth it. We could not get enough traction. I said, the market is not ready. So there's going to be a lot of excuses, and those excuses came in from me, and that's how I realized that it's very important to be passionate initially, and then comes commitment. None of these 3 businesses had my commitment 100%. And I said, I'm not going to waste my time anymore. I'm going to not treat my baby stepmotherly, and I'm going to give it the attention that it needs. And I went back to creating this wedding photography company, the business, and I'm very happy to say that as a wedding photography company, we are one of the top wedding photography companies in Bangalore. And very recently, I won an international award from an Italian brand. And I recently also wrote a book. I'm an author of a book which we wrote for the brides called The Bridal Moment. And in this time of resurrection, we've managed to have 40,000 social media followers who've kind of persisted with the style that we had showcased early on, and who got a glimpse of the kind of quality that we could offer to them. And all this has happened because of being committed, of being clear about our group, about our vision, and being absolutely focused on the goals. So this is where I am, and this is what my story is.